The tractor. I want it clean, Isabella.
Probably guessed it. It's that time of the year where we take off the snow stuff and we put on the mow stuff. So today we're going to be focusing on the G1800. We're going to drop the snow blade. We're going to drain the oil out of the engine. I don't have a filter for it right now, but I'm going to order one in and then spin that on at a later date. So we're going to change the oil because it's so much easier to do before you put the deck back on. Then I'm also going to put the deck on the G1800, and we're going to show you through that process. Also the servicing of the G1800, all the different grease spots on it. Compared to the BX, this thing has got a ton of grease zerks. So we'll walk you through that process as well. So if you don't mind, hang out. And also, if you like the videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Press the little bell button to get notified when we got new videos. And if you actually enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up. Thanks. So you probably remember from one of our earlier videos when we actually installed these weights on the back of the tractor. Today we got to take them back off, and luckily it's actually not that big of a deal. I don't have a set of wrenches that'll actually fit these bolts, but for no more than they are, a couple sets of water pump pliers will do the job.
Goodbye, Daddy.
So that takes the weights off. Now we're gonna work on dropping the blade. All right, so you can see the hydraulic lift arms coming in here and just pinned directly onto these brackets that are on the side of the blade. So pull that spring keeper, the pin. On the other side, I'm gonna do the same thing though, and then I'm gonna shove that pin in a little bit more so I can pull that clip. And it's free. Grab it. So now the only thing left to do is to take this plate, which keeps the blade from going side to side, off. And it's just a couple small. The whole reason I take this off is because I banged my knee so many times on it that it's just better to take that off of there. So the next thing I have to do is I have to put on the quick attach linkages that hook to the mower deck. And the trick here is to make sure I got the correct one on the right side. And I believe this goes on the other side actually. They're actually identical, but it's just the wear pattern of the paint. The wear pattern of the paint indicates that this was on the top side. And I've left my pins in the holes that they belong, so I remember how to do it. And the direction that the pin goes through the hole. So that one's on. You can see it works real similar to the way the BX is. You pull the pin out and you turn it, and there's a little catch for it. And then once you have the deck underneath it, you simply lower those down, snap them in, lock them in, and then the front's. So before we get too carried away with putting the deck under this thing, we're gonna go ahead and change that engine oil. And I let it warm up for a little bit. The gauge said it was at operating temperature. Should be enough to change the oil out on it. And then we're gonna also go ahead and grease it while we don't have the deck on it, because it'll make it a ton easier. I've got my 14mm socket here and ratchet. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crack the air fill, or the oil fill. And we're gonna drain that oil. As soon as I get a filter for it, I'll just spin that on, and then I'll have to top off the oil a little bit. It won't be a perfectly clean change because there'll be a little dirty oil in the filter and all, but it should be good enough for another year. So while that oil's draining, I'm going to go ahead and get my grease gun, and we're going to hit the zerks on this tractor. So the first couple zerks we got are just right up here on the front steering. The wheel bearings are actually a sealed bearing on these tractors, so no grease is required there. But the steering kingpins do require lubrication. The rear wheel bearings do have grease zerks on them. Much like the BXs, we've got a grease zerk on the brake pedal. Okay. Then on the PTO drive, or PTO engagement mechanism, grease. And then there's one more that's underneath. It's the pivot shaft of the front axle. It's pivot shaft plus PTO drive bearings. So this was 1 gallon jug. I probably got about a quart left in it. So it took 3 quarts. When we change that filter, we're gonna lose maybe a pint. Obviously the filter will have to be replaced, but it's right here, easy to get to, and doesn't make a huge mess whenever you pull it. And then hydroset oil, we checked it the other day. So we should be good to go to put the deck on. Now, unlike the BX, the G1800 is really difficult to slide the deck under it from the side. So I typically throw a jack under the front end. I lift it up just a bit so I can slide the deck underneath it. I've done it before without doing it. It takes a lot of manipulation, and it's just easier to go ahead and lift that front end up just a little bit. Hooking these up, kind of like the BXs, you hook up from the back forward. So I'm going to get that one started. This one started. Get them latched in. That one's in. That one's in. PTO shaft is next. It's easier to get from this side because I'm a righty. And then the front is nearly the same as a BX, except for the brackets on the deck stay on the deck, and the bracket on the tractor stays on the tractor. But you simply rock it down, adjust the deck so it lines up, the hooks. Once you get it hooked, stand up and lift, and make sure the pin locks in. So that's the deck on it. So these are the deck assist springs. They're just 2 big coil springs. They hook into those brackets and then up to a bracket on the frame of the tractor, and I'll get you down so you can kind of see that. So there you can see the lower bracket. The upper bracket is right up here underneath the fender. To bring those distances up, I'm going to raise the deck, and then this is actually relatively easy. You pull one cotter pin out, take the washer off, you can take it and hinge it up. Hook the upper one first, hook the lower one, and then pry that back down and back onto that.
and you adjust these, which direction you have the angle iron based on what your wheel gauges are set at. So it's not super user friendly, but it works. And what I'll do is I'll lower this down, and you'll see how these deck assist springs transfer weight to the tractor. So as the deck is lowered, those springs stretch out, obviously putting some of the weight back on the tractor. There's still a lot of weight on the wheels, but it's a lot less. And trust me, these tractors were so light in the rear that without that there going up a little hill, you would just spin out. So that definitely saved me when I bought those. All right, so that should be it. We're gonna fire it up, spin the deck up, and just listen to it, make sure everything sounds right. There's only one zerk, this one that you got to pull this little flap up for. That should be it for grease zerks on this tractor. We'll go ahead and dump the oil out of it. Again, no filter on, I don't have any filters in stock, but change the oil. Got enough left over to top off both this tractor and the other when I get new filters. I'm going to go ahead and drag this oil out. And I got a couple empty jugs that I'll put the used oil in to recycle. Alright, so we got the deck back underneath the tractor. And we just got a little bit of fine tuning to do. And we should be able to lower the 3-point hitch arms. If I had this nut on top. Those are latched. I'm going to go to the other side and get the PTO. Probably the worst part of this deck is the PTO. Okay. Now we just got the front bracket. So that should have the deck fully installed.
that's the mower deck installation. Everything sounded good on it. I'm going to go ahead and grease the loader while I got it in here. So the last part of my day is going to be picking up the tools and cleaning things up. I got to put the trailer back in the garage, load the tractors back on it, and I got to take the snow blade back to where it has summer storage at, and then I'll be ready to go. So if you like this episode of Hoosier Helpers, please think about considering subscribing. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the episode. Hit that little bell button if you want to watch other episodes as we release them. It'll give you a nice notification. And thanks, and have a great day. I appreciate you stopping by.